to another episode of the Modern Manifestation Podcast. I'm your host, Bree Brown, a lettuce-hating, wine-loving, curses like a sailor, recovering perfectionist. Having thrived in a male-dominated, commission-based industry, I'm passionate about helping women boldly pursue their life goals. In this space, we build confidence with our mindset, manifestation, and spirituality. I believe that your life manifests as a result of who you are, not what you do, and that your personality creates your personal reality. Join this growing community to increase your net worth by increasing your self-worth. Now let's jump into today's topic. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Modern Manifestation Podcast. I have a confession to make. I am wanting to produce more episodes for you guys because I want to make sure that you're getting at least 2 a month. And here's what ends up happening, y'all. Every time I go to sit down and record an episode, it ends up becoming like this 40-minute behemoth. And I'm trying to make these episodes more concise. And what I'm finding is that I am going off on all these different tangents, and then my ADHD is like, oh, well, then that could be a new episode, and that could be a new episode, and then that could be a new episode. And then I go off and I try to break these things up, and then I try to make them into a bunch of new episodes. And then I just sit there and think, oh, well, this really needs to be expanded upon. And then I start going into my habit of going and writing a script for that thing. So I am letting you know this because I'm still working on this perfectionism, right? Getting over this imperfectionism. And I'm going to just start producing more of these episodes, shorter episodes, and just letting them be what they're going to be. Done is better than perfect. And I have fallen into my own trap of not heeding my own advice on that. So I wanted to start off this episode today and talk about that because I recognize that since the beginning of the year, you guys have only had a handful of episodes that have been released, and I want to be more consistent for you guys. So I want you to know that in the future, I am going to try to produce more of these smaller episodes, and I am going to start taking more questions that come to me through my DMs on Instagram and turning some of those into episodes too, because obviously if some of you are reaching out with some of these questions, it might be questions that others have as well. So if you are listening to this and you have had a question that's on your mind, feel free to send it to me on Instagram. I'll do my best to answer you in the messages, but I might also take that to the podcast as well, especially if it's one that I feel like will resonate with a lot of people. And one final thing before we jump into today's episode, I want to let you know that I put my online course for goal setting up on my website. You can now access that for $30, and it comes with the workbook and the meditation. So if you missed that in December, or if you're just catching up on the podcast, you can still access that course, except it is now $30 instead of $23. However, it is still super helpful for anyone that could use some help setting goals for their career, for life, while also incorporating concepts of manifestation, perfectionism, as well as other helpful mindset tips. Okay, let's jump into today's episode. Today, we are talking about having abundance and knowing that you already have everything you need to be successful and to manifest the life that you want. In other words, abundance is your birthright. And I was inspired to do today's episode by a recent conference that I was listening to by Bob Proctor. It had the hilarious music cues in between his walking on and off stage. It was just pure 1980s entertainment, but the quality was there. And I thought the conference was really great listening back to. I can't remember the name of it, but I will link it in the show notes if you're interested in listening into what that conference was about. But in his discussion, he was talking about the abundance of creation, or this creative source that has created everything, this energy, and even our own divinity, or whatever you want to call it. And he said that we all deserve to be wealthy, simply because we are born rich as a byproduct of source energy. We are born rich with opportunity, and we are born rich with the ability and willingness to create. And that's not to say that we all have the same opportunities, right? Because we all have different backgrounds, we all have different experiences, which can help or hinder us. But what this means is that we're all born with the potential to create opportunity. And somewhere along the way, because of our human experiences and traumas, we tend to forget the source of our creative energy, and we fall into habits that do not serve us. And a lot of times that looks like playing the victim instead of being the creator. So when this happens, we begin to believe that our world has limits, that the things we want are hard to come by, or that life is even unfair. And sometimes we have really valid reasons for believing this. But this is the conditioning that most of us spend the rest of our lives trying to decommission, trying to remove, trying to strip from ourselves. But when we can find our way back to that creative energy, to harness it for ourselves, that's when we can start to create the lives that we want. Even with our conditioning, our ability to do this never goes away. We're always connected to Source's creative power. So this conference got me thinking a lot about not only my place in this world, but as a part of this world. What does it mean to be a soul in this body, in this world, in this universe, with these molecules? How was I formed? All of those things. And as Bob talks about our birthright, our infinite connection to the universe, I think about manifestation as a literal byproduct of this abundant energy. It's like manifestation is the physical expression of this abundant energy. And I'm reminded that it all comes from the exact same place that you might call God, energy, the Big Bang, universe, Allah, Jesus, whatever that word is for you. It is still within all of us, and it wants to continue creating. And it's always been creating. We may not have given it the right blueprint, or the blueprint we want to see built, but regardless, it's always creating on our behalf. And it has no choice. That's all it really knows how to do. It's a continuous creative expression. And from a very literal perspective, everything that makes up our physical bodies can be traced back to the Big Bang. To the instant everything in our physical reality was created. In other words, all of our atoms, minerals, elements, molecules, cells, etc., everything that makes us up came from the source of our universe, or what I like to call source energy. And we're all made up of those same particles that came from that Big Bang, that came from source. We are a physical expression of that source, of that creativity. And that's just our physical body. That's not even taking into account our spirit or soul or mind. And our souls contain that same creative spark. And if you recall from the law of divine oneness from an earlier episode, we're all interconnected as different parts of the same whole, different expressions of the same universe, experiencing itself in many physical forms. So in a way, we're all a part of the same being. We're just having different experiences as that being, as this creative energy. And when we create, we connect with the part of our soul or our body that already built galaxies, species, worlds. And this is the reason we're drawn to create. Whether our creative medium is painting, dancing, an Excel spreadsheet, music, gardening, building cars, gaming, whatever it is, we're all drawn to create in some way because this is the side of us that has already created everything, and it's itching to continue to build upon its creation through all of us. And you could argue that some forms of creation are more productive than others, but it's all about the feeling that it gives you. We are made up of materials that come from source. Our souls come from source. Therefore, we are an extension of source. We are source energy, or we are source, having a physical human experience. And this creative energy is responsible for everything that we can see and not see within our physical and energetic reality. This creative energy exists within absolutely everything, within you, within me, within everyone. We're all connected to it and through it. And as we think about the sheer power and the creative force that Spirit had to pull from in order to create all of this galaxy, this world, this universe, these people, animals, whatever, these creations took a ton of power to generate, a ton of creative energy to manifest. But this kind of source energy just creates effortlessly. It doesn't ask questions on whether or not it can, whether or not it defies laws. It just does. It doesn't know its own power or lack of power. It just is. And it's not bound by physical or material constraints. It's just truly unlimited. It is. And this powerful creative force exists within all of us. And I bring this up because this is directly related to manifestation. I find it super helpful to remind myself on a daily basis that I am made up of this creative source energy too. That source lives within me. The creative power that created the universe runs through my veins, through my soul, through my thoughts, and it does the same for you. You don't have to do anything to connect with this powerful source energy. It's already there, it's already connected, and there's nothing you can do to get rid of it. And of course, we might experience resistance to it in the way of doubt, worry, fear, etc., but even so, we're still connected to it. We may have slowed down the creative flow a little bit, and when we remove this resistance, we chip away at it, we can open up the door a little bit more for this creative flow to effortlessly attract things to us. But no matter what, it will never completely go away. It can't. We would be dead. So when I'm thinking about manifesting the things that I want, and I start to doubt, worry, experiencing limiting beliefs, I remind myself that the exact same source energy that created everything can so easily create the things that I want to see in my life. And honestly, it's probably a whole lot more simple than the things it's already created in comparison. So when you think about manifesting a new job, relationship, money, just know that this creative energy could bring that effortlessly to you. And sometimes I get into the habit of thinking that some of the things that I want are just going to be too difficult for Source to bring to me, or they might be too big, or too much, or too crazy, or too out there. But this Source has literally created everything. And anything I want would also come through the same source. So I tell you this because I want to remind you, it's okay if you do experience these feelings. But just remember that anytime you're nervous, doubtful, or worried that what you're asking for or what you're trying to manifest is too much, too big, too crazy of an idea, just know that there's no such thing. The universe may have better plans for you, which is another topic, but it will never tell you that your desires are too much. Because abundance is your birthright as an expression of the universe. You deserve it because you simply exist. Because you are divine creation. You are the universe experiencing itself. You simply are. So you are never asking for too much. In fact, you're probably asking for too little. You deserve the world. You've already created the world, so let yourself connect with that side of you. And thinking that you're asking for too much from the universe is like asking Puccini or Beethoven to play you a single note when they've already created masterpieces. Like, of course they could play a single note for you. In fact, if you'll let them, they'll probably write you something even more beautiful than a single note. Maybe they create a little melody or a jingle. And all we're asking for is a simple note and being like, oh, but if that's too much, sorry, like, never mind, and then we let our fear and doubt and resistance work in. Just remember, you're not asking for too much. You're never asking for too much. Doesn't matter what anyone else tells you. Just know that the things that you want is your creative energy trying to express itself. Allow yourself to play with this creative energy and to express its ideas. And remind yourself that the things you want aren't out of reach. They're not difficult. They're not big. They're not too crazy. They wouldn't be difficult for Source to create through us if we allowed it. And it's up to us to create for ourselves using this creative force within us. Manifestation is the physical expression of our expectations, of our reality, who we believe ourselves to be and what we believe ourselves to be worth. Our identity is the blueprint for our lives that we give to the creative energy within us. And if we doubt ourselves, that doubt is seeping into this creative energy. So whatever we believe to be true about ourselves, it is true only because of our belief. So believe that you are worthy of whatever it is that you desire. Believe that you are a child of the universe. Believe that abundance is your birthright, because that is what Creative Source does best. It creates, and you are Creative Source. Own your birthright. So use this Creative Source. If you want to manifest a miracle, then go manifest a miracle, because that's what creative energy has already done. Look at the earth around us, the animals, all the species. We're all miracles, and it's all a result of this creative energy. And we are no exceptions because we are a part of this creative energy, this spirit. So if you're doing the work and you're thinking about stepping into that identity that you want to manifest, and you're thinking about getting into the right state of mind and emotion, it's helpful to remind yourself of your connection to the powerful force within you, to pull from the source of power, to work with the universe and co-create with it, because you are powerful. And you can lean on this power from within to help you overcome your fears, your doubts, your limiting beliefs. You could lean on this creative energy to help you manifest whatever it is that you want. And it's only as difficult as you believe it needs to be, which can be the hardest part, right? We've been conditioned to believe that everything requires a lot of work, hustle, grind, effort. But it doesn't. Everything I talk about in this podcast isn't about doing more. It might seem that way, but that's not the intent. It's not, hey, you need to go do more. It's actually about doing less and being more as a byproduct. So what I mean by that is stripping away the negative ideas and the beliefs that don't serve us, stripping away the resistance, stripping away the identities that aren't helping us, getting closer and closer to the essence of who we are by removing all the bullshit around us, by removing the conditioning, getting us so much closer and more in touch with the creative essence within us, so that one day, creative source just flows, attracts, creates, inspires. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to strip away everything that doesn't serve us so that we're left with our true authentic self, our true authentic nature, which just knows how to simply create. You already have everything you already need to create within you. It's always been there and it will always be there. This energy already exists within you. So harness it, use it. You are source energy experiencing itself in a physical reality. The universe cannot manifest for you, but it can manifest through you. To say that again, source cannot do for you what it cannot do through you. We are co-creators, and we have to meet the universe halfway. Allow it to work through us. Creative source is stronger than our resistance, and you are extremely powerful. And there are no limits to what the source of energy can create through you. So I hope today's podcast episode inspires you to create without worry or fear. I hope this episode encourages you to pull from the power that is already within you, that has always existed within you, so that you can manifest the life you want. There's a version of you that already knows how to create everything, that has already created everything. This version of you also exists within you, so connect with that part of you. There's a portion of your soul that already knows how to get what you want for yourself, that already knows how easy it could be. And if you're listening to this podcast, then there's a part of you that's already led you here, that already wants you to connect with this power within yourself. You are on the right track. You are always on the right track. You are supported. You are powerful. You are creative. You are the universe. And you were born rich. Abundance is your birthright. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me today. Have a fantastic rest of your week, and I will catch y'all in the next episode. Until then, go out there and manifest some miracles. I hope y'all enjoyed today's episode. If you want to check out the show notes, head over to www.themodernmanifestation.com/blog. If you're loving this podcast, please drop me a review, share this episode with a loved one, and follow me on Instagram @modernmanifestation. I love y'all so much, and thanks for listening.